It is the 2nd of January. I kind of prepped this project a little yesterday, but I'm hoping to actually get some stuff done today, this evening, whatever time it is right now. So this project is for my husband. I don't know about you guys, but my husband is massive into suits, menswear, and he is a very good team player when it comes to making things for him. He loves it. He loves dressing with me. I say we, he does prefer for us to match when we go places. Whenever we are going anywhere, he wants to know what I'm wearing so that he can match and we can look our best. He's very old-fashioned like that, and he really prefers the two of us to have a coordinated outfit. So last year, I made a little joke in one of my other videos that if I got through them all, I would turn my husband into Mr. Darcy, which I am kind of doing. Kind of. My husband looks nothing like Matthew McFadden or Colin Firth, but he's very Darcy energy. But there are two Regency men he loves, and that is, of course, Fitzwilliam Darcy from the book Pride and Prejudice, specifically Matthew McFadden. That is his favorite. I am a Laurence Olivier girl, but that's just a personal preference. The other one he is a huge fan of, Regency kind of wise, is Prince Albert from The Young Victoria. And that's with Rupert Friend and Emily Blunt. It's fabulous. But there's a lot of the same silhouettes between the two films. So, because we love both those films and he wants to kind of have that Darcy outfit for when the new Bridgerton series comes out, I am being nice enough to make him a costume. I'm using the term costume because I don't think this is going to be anywhere close to historically accurate at all. Not that that actually exists, however. I'm also a perfectionist, so I am trying to already tell myself that I can make mistakes. It doesn't have to be everyday Regency men wearable. I'm not expecting Pinsent Taylor to walk in my door and say, please give me the jacket that you made your husband for this one video, because that's not gonna happen. So I've broken this one down into 4 videos, which I'm hoping to do over the next 2 months. So we're gonna start with the shirt, Regency gentleman's shirt. The second one is going to probably be the vest, the third, the pants, and the 4th video will more than likely just be the jacket. So the 4 big pieces. If I have spare time, I'll probably make the cravat and 1 or 2 other things, but I'm not holding myself to it because I know if I do, I will probably crush myself under the expectations I have set to get this done. So we're starting kind of easy with just the shirt. So I already have the pattern all cut out and ready to go. This one is from, and I'll put a picture here somewhere. It's from Black Snail Patterns. It is the sewing pattern 0521, men's shirt 1750 to 1830, including stock collar and cravat, which is incredibly helpful. It sizes, well, US 34 to 46 or EU 44 to 54. So I have everything printed. I have it all cut out because I can't stand watching footage of myself cutting out paper. I washed the fabric I bought for it yesterday, and so I have this lovely white linen. It's washed, it's very soft now that I've washed it, and I got about 3 yards. All I really need to do is cut, stitch, and try this on. I don't want to do a mock-up. I just don't. I have my husband's exact measurements. I went through and measured him yesterday for the pants because the pants pattern I have has a whole thing to walk you through it. I don't think this one does. Let me see. Can confirm it does not have the same little walkthrough as the one for my pants does, which I might show you guys in that video if you want to move forward to that one. Or if it hasn't come out yet, you'll just have to wait. But it does have the size chart, which I'm gonna have to go over with my husband to make sure I'm cutting the right one. I have to look at how they fit, how they're cut. My husband is 6'4", somewhere around there. So he's already gonna be tall, and these shirts typically go down right past their derriere area, which you will never see. But because they're long, I have to make sure that it will be long enough for his measurements and for his body type. So we're gonna have to take a look at this. I already have his measurements, so I probably just need to look at the size chart, lay the pattern out. I might get his 2 cents because this is something he's gonna wear, and I know if it were me, I would be asking 1,001 questions. So we're gonna see how this goes. But I'm gonna start at least with looking at the pattern, getting myself used to this, and then knowing me, I'm just gonna cut straight into the linen because I don't want to do a mock-up. I hate them, and I hate having to film it and then put it on, and then I feel like it makes my videos way too long, but we're gonna see. First things first, I need to put this hair up, because if you can't tell, I keep messing with it because it is getting long. And yeah, it's driving me up the wall. So we're gonna put this mop up, and I'm gonna go through these patterns. Yeah, let's do this. Quick update. I am playing with how much fabric I have, and I think I have barely enough. I haven't laid it all the way out, but I have just enough lengthwise for the shirt because I've pinned it in intervals here. And the shirt, this is the sleeve. The sleeve is luckily gonna go this way because it's supposed to be cut on a fold. So if I do that, I'll have just enough on the edges to do the collar and the extra little bitty pieces. And I should have enough to make the cravat out of it as well, if I feel like making the cravat out of the same linen. I'm hoping to get this cut out and start sewing it tonight. I don't know if I'm going to hand sew or if I'm going to machine sew yet, because there's so much, like, what are they called, fell stitching all over it, because you're supposed to turn it inside and then fell it, and the instructions are more for someone who is going to be felling. The issue is the instructions are more for hand sewing than they are for machine sewing. So I could translate it and kind of go from there, but as it stands, I'm half tempted to make it really hard on myself because it's me, and just hand stitch all of it, which could be rather relaxing, maybe. At the same time, I'm thinking I might do a mix of both. I might machine stitch some of the straighter stitches, and then in a couple of places, like in the shoulders, they have to be stitched a very specific way. Right now, I know I need to unpin the pieces I've pinned to the fabric already so I can iron it. And that way I can really make sure I'm cutting it straight, because I folded it up after I washed it and it's got lovely wrinkles all in it now. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're just gonna quickly iron it. And then we're just gonna pin it, and then we're gonna cut, and then it's sewing, and it's just sewing. But let me tell you, this is the strangest pattern I've ever used. But we're going to have barely enough to get this done, which, great. I was really freaked out for a second there. I thought I was going to have to go back to Joann's and get more. So, yay for not needing more fabric. Maybe. Okay. I'm going to give y'all the gist of how sewing this went, kind of step by step. And I'm just going to put the clips with it so that you can see what I did when I did it. And that way you guys can kind of follow along with a little bit of imagery. All right, here we go. So obviously you're going to print your pattern, cut it out. I like to keep mine in little folders. These come from HEB, and they're like, I think 20 cents, maybe. So let's see from the beginning. So after you've cut all the pieces out of the fabric, you're going to then take the shirt part of it and you slash it where it's marked on the pattern, where the neck is, and then basically middle of that, about 8 inches down. It recommends you take the strands out so you can cut a nice clean line, and then that way it hangs properly, because otherwise it can cause drama, and you really don't want that, trust me. Once you have cut everything, you're going to basically roll hem on the inside of the V of the shirt. I don't know why they had you do it this way. I would have done a facing, but it's not historically accurate, I guess. But if you're doing it via hand stitch, you fell it in place. If you're doing it machine stitch, just top stitch. Or if you are fancy and have a blind hem machine, blind hem it. Whatever you want to do. Do what you want. From there, you're going to take the shoulder patches, which are the little horizontal pieces, and you're going to cut the line in there. Same thing, try to take like a seam ripper, and where the top of that line is, just cut 2 of the vertical grain strands, pull those out. That way you have a very clean line, and again, that way the linen doesn't fight with you. If you're working with silk, good luck. So then you're going to take the patch, and where that line is, you're basically just kind of going to open it up where it does this. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to flip anybody off, but you're basically going to do, I'll show you a thing here. Like insert clip here. You're basically going to widen it. You fold down 2 edges of the little gusset piece. It's a little square. And I pinned mine in place, and then I fell stitched it. It tells you it tells you in here somewhere that you can just baste it and then fell stitch it. I just pinned and fell stitched. I don't know if they had pins back then. I assume they did, but it doesn't say. Then you're going to turn all the edges of this thing in, because now basically it looks like a big arrow because you've split it, you've stitched it. So you do everything on here, 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 and here. They leave the bottom part that will be by the end of the arm, where the sleeve's going to be. You leave that open, so you don't have to fold that in and stitch even more. And then again, I pinned it and fell stitched it into place. So then on the shirt part, you're going to open up where the top of the collar is, and you're going to line up where the sleeve is supposed to go. And then I pinned mine. There's 2 little notches you're supposed to make where it's going to stop. And then you're going to fell stitch from the edge of the shirt all the way down to the neck opening, and then do the same thing on the other side. Then you're going to take the little gusset piece that's attached to make that, that little square. You're going to turn in the other 2 sides and fold it in so that it's actually on top of the shoulder. And then you're going to, again, I pinned it. It doesn't say to, but I pinned it. I'm hoping you guys are proud, because I don't do pins. And I did pins for you, but I did it mostly for me. Let's be honest. And then you stitch it on the top. You stitch it so it's actually showing up here at the top. Then you're going to do the collar. Okay, if you've never stitched a collar like this before, good luck. So you take the collar, you fold it in half, and then you stitch it basically what's going to be the pieces that are going to face the front of the neck right in there. So you stitch on both sides, turn it inside out, and it says you can fold up the bottom 2 pieces. If you're doing this via machine, you can just do it the traditional way, where you stitch it all the way around the collar, and then when you fold it up, it has that seam allowance right in there. And then you just take the same amount on the other side, pin it. I'm doing more pinning than I do for this stupid pattern. I'm doing more pinning for this pattern than I do for more complex, crazy patterns that are modern or 50s. What does that say? And I don't know if they even had pins back then, because it doesn't say in the instructions, so I'm not sure. It's a point of reference, okay? It just is. Anyway, so then you're going to, for the pattern instructions, you gather stitch, which means 2 basting stitches all the way around the neck. I always recommend back stitching on one side, or tying it off really good, or doing a knot, or however you want to do it, to make sure that one side is secure. That way you get to the end, all you gotta do is pull and gather, and then what you do is you gather it, and then you just kind of zhuzh it around. I didn't do this, so please heed what I say. Put it on the person if they are there. Or whenever you're taking measurements, measure that. Don't measure the neck, Measure where the collar is going to stop, because it is bigger, it doesn't feel the same, and there's a way that this is supposed to lay, and it's going to lay at the bottom of the collar, not at the neck. Measure it, or put it on the person so that you can see where it's going to fall and that you have enough room that it doesn't pull everything up. Because I did that, and it was wrong. Heed my warning. Let me make this mistake for you, because then you're going to do as I suggested with the collars. You're going to stitch the bottom part all the way around. You flip it over, and then you turn the inside piece in, and then I did fell stitch. Now, when I had to tear the neckline out because I did it wrong, I just machine stitch it because I didn't care anymore. I was like, no, I don't have anybody from this YouTube sewing community coming in to like looking at my seams. Okay, nobody cares. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my husband, and he gave me a lovely pat on the head and told me it looks great, dear, and then moved on. So I'm not overthinking. You're overthinking. Once you have the collar done, you move on to the next part. Because why would you not take that moment to do buttonholes and buttons? I don't know. That's not how she suggests it. But from there, you're going to start with the sleeves, which is interesting. So on the sleeve pattern, there are points that you sew between and you gather. And then you're going to put there's a couple more points that are a little bit further down. Please make sure that you mark your patterns for this, that are going to match where the body of the shirt is going to be. Then you're going to stitch the whole thing together. Now here comes the fun part, which is adding, hang on, there's one more step I'm forgetting. Once you have the top of the shirt and the sleeve stitched together, you're going to sew the shirt body together, which is like a couple inches down from where those sleeves start. And again, there's marks for this, so you can see it when you print out the pattern. There's marks on it. And you're going to stitch the pieces together, and it's going to go all the way down, and then you're going to leave a little vent down below so that it's easier to move the shirt and starch and things like that, so it's not a full tube. Let's see, so that's that. It recommends that you go ahead and stitch the arm sleeve where it directs you to. Again, there's marks on the shirt sleeve, and you sew it all the way down. It's a straight piece. If you're doing it via hand stitch, God bless you. Then you're going to do the underarm gusset, which, let me tell you, is an experience. It recommends you insert the gusset. Basically, you turn in those pieces that you left open between the marks. Where those marks are, or where the marks are going to be on that little square you made. You match up the marks. Again, I pinned it. And then you're supposed to sew it with a back stitch. So you stitch it on all four sides. Then you're going to clip the gusset, the little square, clip it around, and then you basically fold in the outside like a casing and fold it in again. But make sure that you do there's little spots where you're supposed to clip it in order to give some ease for the fabric so it doesn't pleat in weird, strange places. You'll know when you see it, trust me. All right, what's next, children? Let's see. Oh, yes, this. Once that's done, you get down to, like, the edge of the shirt, as well as the edge of the cuffs. And you basically clip it. There's, again, mark your patterns, mark your pieces. Mark your patterns, mark your pieces. You're going to clip it and basically roll hem it. If you're using a machine, top stitch it. If you're using a hand stitching thing, oh, Lord help you. You're gonna fill the seams. And then you do that for the not gusset. Oh, I'm getting my words mixed up. You're gonna do that for the bottom of the shirt, and you're gonna do that for the sleeves where the cuffs are gonna go. Now we're gonna get to the fun part, which are the teeny tiny squares. I didn't know what these were for. I thought they were supposed to be like interfacing for the buttons or something. I was like, am I gonna put these in somewhere at some point? And then I thought they weren't even in the pattern at all. And then I found where they went. And I went, huh? You basically fold all four edges in, fold it in half, and stick it to the inside. Now for the cuffs. Now this
is familiar territory. I've done this before. A sleeve cuff is a sleeve cuff. Especially if you've ever done a bishop sleeve or anything else. If you haven't, come by the fire, children, and listen. So these sleeves are the same as the neck. You do 2 gather stitches all the way around, and then you gather it, and you put the cuff on. If you can do the neck, you can do the cuffs. If you're scared to do the neck, then do the cuffs first. So you have something smaller to comprehend and move on. Then it gets a little hinky. It then tells you to sew buttonholes and sew on buttons. If you've never sewed a buttonhole before, please go YouTube it first. And then you sew the buttons on. If you don't know how to sew a button, please go find a YouTube video for it, because this is not the place for that. Then it says to take the little heart-shaped piece and stitch it to the bottom of the neckline. I did not do this because I thought it was asinine, and I was not stitching curves. To have to turn in all those teeny tiny curves and stitch it to the inside of the shirt. No. Don't even know why I bothered cutting it out. And then they do say you can add a little, what is it called? Hang on, stand by one. Secure the vent with an additional bar tack if wanted. I've never made a bar tack. I'm just going to eventually make ruffles and put them on the shirt as well. For now, we have a very plain shirt. And that is pretty much it. There are more instructions in here for the ruffles, which I am going to make off camera because I don't care. And the stock, which I'm not making because guess what? I don't care. And I was confused earlier because when I was I'm probably going to make the cravat later out of something pretty and schmancy. And I don't want you guys to see how angry I'm going to be when I make that, because I already can see I can already see the writing on the walls, and it ain't gonna be pretty. Yeah. But there is no piece in the pattern for the cravat. It has cut a strip of sheer fabric with about 12 inches. And then it gives you some vague measurements to do. So I'm gonna have to do some more research so that I can find something close. I'm not an imbecile, but I like some general instruction. So I might just have to go to Joann, buy a foot of fabric that's wide enough to go around my husband's neck the proper way and just stitch it the proper way. And who knows, I might even go watch a YouTube video myself of how cravats are made, and we're gonna go from there. The only thing it doesn't say in this that I was kind of confused about is there's nothing in here about starching the shirt, because that's a big deal. It's a big deal to starch these shirts. Like, there's this lovely little intro for the general information here at the top, and it talks about starching a little. It says heavily starched after washing, especially during the Regency era, and it was decorated with a handkerchief, cravat, or stock. There's nothing in here about how to starch this shirt. So I'm gonna have to learn how to do that off camera, as well as make ruffles, because my husband has tried this on and he has deemed that he needs ruffles, which I might trim with some pretty satin or something, because I bought little satin covered buttons because I was not making covered buttons on top of everything else. No. Not doing that. So I'm going to make some ruffles. I'm going to make a cravat later, when I have a couple hours to myself where I feel like making it. But right now, I'm not feeling generous. I'm feeling angry because this shirt has been the bane of my existence. But that is pretty much it. Now for final thoughts. Where is my tea? Okay. Hello again. This shirt is my Everest. I feel like I've run a marathon. And I finished in 9th place. I did it. but I'm sweaty, I'm tired, I want to cry, I want to snack, and I want to nap, and I don't want to ever have to run a marathon again. I've got notes. Let's check. So here's my final thoughts. 1, this is an intermediate pattern. I cannot emphasize this enough. And when I tell you that I have been sewing for a decade, and I will say, I'm going to hear it from someone, I didn't do a mock-up because I didn't care. And I was not going to waste the amount of fabric that was going to have to be used for this shirt pattern. And my brain said, I've measured, it's fine. I can already hear my husband in my head, measure twice, cut once, and I'm losing myself. Okay. But really, this is not a, hey, let's make a quick Darcy shirt. This is, let's make a quick pirate shirt. No. It is not. It is I am obsessed with Bridgerton. I am obsessed with Regency. I love Pride and Prejudice. I'm obsessed with the Jane Austen, ideal. I want, my husband or my boyfriend or my significant other or whomever you love is like, I know you so, I want you to make me this. Read through the instructions. This pattern is downloadable. You can put it into Adobe and you can make notes. You can take it and paint all over it if you want. You can print it and write or do stickers for your notes. I don't care how you do it, but for the love of sewing, please make notes. I don't care if you have to watch my video 10 times. DM me on Instagram if you want me to send you more clips, because I think I've still got a few more clips from all this anyway, and it's going to go on a hard drive somewhere, and I'm going to label it, and I'm going to throw it at the back of somewhere, but I will find it for you if I have to. But read through the instructions, because it is intense. And if you've never made a shirt before, this is not what you want to do for your first project. This is not a first project. This isn't even a 5th project. This is like, I have been dating this pattern for a year, and we've decided to go away for the weekend, kind of a pattern. It's a lot, and it's a big step. That being said, let's talk about some positives. And hang on, I need it. Now, let's talk about machine versus hand sewing. I did a mix because I don't have the patience to sit and back stitch through the entirety of what would have been the sides of the shirt, the bodice part, and the sleeves, and then gather stitching. I hate gathering by hand. Will not do it. Guys, I have ADHD. My brain will not allow me to sit there and just blindly stitch because I will screw it up or I will do it too perfectly and I will stress myself out. So, machine it is. Now, of the two, if I was doing this YouTuber thing as a professional, I mean profession. I mean like this is, I could do the entire thing in a day because in my head, hand sewing would take the amount of time that it would take to watch 1995 Colin Firth and Jennifer Ale. I'm not sure. It's not in front of me. The beautiful Jennifer and Colin over here. It would take you the entirety of that to sew this shirt after you've done it at least once. If you're still unsure, please watch the Keira Knightley 2005 version or Pride and Prejudice and Zombies or Emma or any other film adaptation of any Jane Austen film and just sew it on a machine. Now, would I use this pattern again? Yes, I plan to. I plan some point in the future to use this pattern again. I actually kind of want to make this out of like a really nice like silk or something because I think it would be really pretty in like a gray, like a very light gray silk. But I'm not there yet. I don't have the budget for that, so we ain't playing with that. Any alterations I would make would probably be the underarm gusset. And it also kind of depends on the person because the neckline is kind of weird and the neck pattern piece doesn't have where the other button pieces should go. So I made what was supposed to fit my husband's neck and it didn't. And the buttons were way over here because there weren't others. Like whenever you pull out a traditional pattern piece, especially for collars, if it calls for a button and buttonhole, there's other lines on the outside of the pattern to where it's like, okay, well,
here's this size, so then it's this buttonhole. Here's this size, so here's this buttonhole, and it adjusts it. That's not the case on this pattern piece, so be aware of that.
One other piece of advice that I have anyway, when you're doing the gussets, don't do it the way that they tell you to. Of course, do the top of the sleeve, gather, insert into the tunic, and it'll have it as one big fun piece. What you do is you sew the side seams like normal, but when it comes to the arm sleeve, don't do it. Do like 2 or 3 inches. That way you have a shorter amount of fabric to have to put in your hand, because especially if you're hand stitching, or even if you're machine sewing, you could probably get away with stitching, folding it the way you do, but that gusset is so finicky because you have to clip certain corners and then cut away at the inside of the gusset and then fold it in and then stitch it around, and just doing it on a machine will probably be easier anyway, just because you have a lot more space to kind of get in there and you're not having to hold it with your hand. But if you're going to hand stitch specifically, leave only stitch about 2 inches so that you can get your hand in there, fell stitch everything, and then just stitch down and fell it down from there. Fell down the sleeve anyway. The only other thing is just to be prepared. Be prepared, because it is a mountain to climb. It is a little intense, and as beautiful as this thing is, as beautiful as this is, and it's very lovely on my husband. He is like, I'll insert a small little video of him in it here, but he's very handsome in it, and he's living the Darcy dream. And he even promised me, and I have video proof of it, that he promised to jump in a lake for me, full Darcy costume, which I'm going to hate because that means I have to launder everything. But I'll get to live it. I'll get to live my Colin Firth jumping in the lake as Darcy, or my Anthony Bridgerton after falling in the lake. I'm quite excited, very excited for that. So he's excited, I'm excited, and he's being very positive for me, because he saw how manic I was when he had to try it on, and the collar didn't fit. It wasn't pretty, but it's done. I am half tempted to just quit and say, you know what, we're gonna do something else. But I've started. Hopefully the other ones aren't too bad, but I feel like now that I've said something. Okay. If you like this video, press the thumb up button down there for me. Comments, questions, praise for me, drop it down below, because if you have done this project and you have your own 2 cents to give, please share with the group community down below. Or if you have your own frustrations, or if you just want to post a whole bunch of emojis for how much my stupidity made you laugh, please do so. My next video is probably going to end up being the vest, because I think I just need something comfortable. I need a pattern I've done before, and something that I've made for my husband before, that all I have to do is cut it, stitch it, be done. And I can do it in a day. I don't have to think about it again. I can just put it on, be done, toss it in the pile for later. Yeah. But if you're wanting to be alerted to when my next video comes up, which hopefully is going to be in a couple weeks, time willing, then please subscribe so that you are, and click the little bell so that you are alerted to when that happens. I'm hoping to, film and put these videos up more frequently. So y'all support really helps. It helps me know that I'm not doing this in vain. Because sometimes I feel like I do when I'm fighting callers. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to read a book and listen to ASMR and just not exist for 14 hours until I have to be at work and pay attention to people. You guys are awesome. I hope you have a great day.
Hello. Okay. Well, there goes my head.
Well, just look at me. And then just, okay, looks good. Looks good.
I feel good. Yeah. It's a little. I know that they wore them. They were big and blousy and whatnot, but it almost feels.
Feel like it's too much?
It feels like I need a nightcap and a little candle on a candlestick, and be going around saying "Bah humbug" a lot. But no, it's nice.
And the sleeves aren't actually not too big.
Not
I'll
too
consider.
bad. So yes, I feel good, and the collar's nice and it fits well. It fits really well actually.
Well, it needs starch of some kind,
It
but
does,
I don't think I can use the spray starch. I think I need to use.
Ooh. That's it. I'm not gonna.